In this video, I would like to share on the possible supernatural causes that surround traffic accidents happening here as well as worldwide, and on the possible steps that we can take to help and safeguard ourselves. The first and most common reason often cited in accident is that the person failed to see the oncoming vehicle. I do believe that sometimes the person really genuinely did not see the oncoming vehicle, because this has happened to me before. There was one night after work when I was turning out from a road into the main road. Before turning out, I remember looking left and right and seeing that there's no car before making the turn. But the next thing I heard was the desperate horns of a truck. Beep, 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 beep. And by the way I took a look, the truck is already too close. And I was frozen like a deer in headlights, right in the middle of the road, with the driver coming at a huge speed at a downward incline towards me. In the end, by some miracle, I don't know how he did it, because given the momentum from his lorry and the incline of the road, and by the time he saw me turning out, it was only a short distance. I have no idea how he managed to brake his truck on time. But if he did not do it, I wouldn't be here today narrating this story. I really did not see the truck. And I have a friend who drives very frequently. A few times when she was at a particular intersection that was known to have high accident rates, she was turning out into the main road. And normally before you turn, you have to look left and right to make sure there's no vehicle. She looked and she was very sure there was no vehicle. As she turned out, she almost got hit by a truck few times. If it's not for the passenger in her car that yelled, she would not be able to stop her car on time and will probably get hit. Last year, my friend's father-in-law was walking his dog on the eve of Chinese New Year when he was hit by a car and died on the spot. The driver did not run away. The driver stayed with. But when being asked why the driver hit the man, the driver said he was driving and suddenly he saw this man crossing the road quickly. He could not brake on time. I believe that my friend's father-in-law actually did not see the driver, because I do recall a few times when I crossed the road, I was pretty sure that there was no car. But as I crossed, there was suddenly a car. It's like what you call in Cantonese, 鬼遮眼. Something seems to mask off the vision that you can't actually see the danger in front of you. So this is the first and most common reason. Of course, it does not hold in the court of law, and not everybody is telling the truth when they quote this reason. But due to my personal experience, I know that at least in some cases, it can be genuinely true. The second reason is the illusion of the road. Many years ago, I remember my mom telling me that she has a friend who often did long-distance driving from Kuala Lumpur to the East Coast in Kelantan to do his business. He is very familiar with the road because he has driven there often enough, and that was the days before the highways were being built. One night when he was driving on a road that was a little foggy, he saw that there was a bend on the road. But he is very clear, because he is familiar and he has driven in that road so many times before, he knew that it was a straight road. So he felt that something was not right. He actually stopped his car on the side of the road and waited. After a while, the fog faded and he saw that it was actually a straight road instead of a bend. Had he gone through the bend, his car would have hit a tree directly and he would have died on impact, because it was a huge old tree. I also remember reading in the newspaper of accounts by witnesses. They were actually behind the vehicle that got involved in the accident. And they didn't understand why that particular car drove straight to the tree. This has been reported in places like the Karak Highway in Pahang, which is known to be quite a haunted highway. I also read accounts by long-haul truck drivers in the US facing similar incidents, whereby they are supposed to turn at the mountain road, but they saw the illusion that the road was straight. And if they go according to the illusion, they would have driven straight into a ravine. So that's the second possible reason. The third is seeing a figure jumping out all of a sudden. There are a few stories being told about people who travel across the Karak Highway, whereby they will see a woman, sometimes dressed in white, sometimes dressed in red, walking by the side of the road. Sometimes they will stop, but sometimes they did not. There are cases where they say that this particular figure would actually suddenly make a dash, like trying to cross the road. And the car that is driving at the highway tried to avoid hitting the woman. But the timing is very strange, because every time when they see this, there will either actually be a truck traveling on the right coming from behind, where they will get hit by the truck, or if they swerve to the left, they will go straight into the ravine. This incident was being told by survivors who have survived the accident and saw that image. I have also read on accounts reported in the US about people when they are driving, they also saw similar image. They also saw that something seems to dart out, and then they swerve and hit another vehicle. Then when they stopped at the distance and they got out, they saw nothing. So it is quite a scary thought, but these cases do happen. The fourth is seeing something very scary or witnessing something very scary. Sometimes people may be driving and suddenly something lands on their dashboard. This has been reported in the Karak Highway by different people. They are driving and then they pass the tunnel, and then later something lands on their car and the car becomes very heavy. Sometimes they land on their windscreen. There was a guy who said that he was driving and he was actually feeling very tired. He actually took a smoke and he felt strange, and he looked behind and he saw something sitting at the back seat of his car, something very horrifying. He was scared out of his wits. He was able to quickly recite verses from the Quran, and after that, he was okay. But that experience scared him a lot. So when I read of cases of people sometimes having heart attack or epilepsy attack resulting in the accident, I wonder if they've seen something terrifying that gave them the heart attack when they were driving. I want to share with you this true case that really happened many years ago. Many people may still remember this incident if they grew up in the 90s. There was this radio talk show where the DJ would actually invite people to call in at about 12 midnight to tell ghost stories. So one night, while this DJ was hosting the show, he got a call from a man. The man was saying that I was driving in the car in the Karak Highway with my wife, my son, and my parents. We were going down in a speed where suddenly a lorry keep coming and keep cutting us. It was very scary because the lorry was following us and was blinking its headlight as if it's trying to crash on us. I'm so scared. And then it went on for quite a distance. I did my best to speed my car, and when I thought I lost the lorry, after a short while, it came back again and again and again. It is as though the lorry is trying to push me down the ravine. So I was driving, and I was doing my best to avoid with this lorry chasing me at the back. And finally, my car went down into the ravine. I'm so sad. My whole family died. I'm just so sad. The DJ listened quietly to the story. And this DJ, he don't actually take things blindly. So he started to think. And then he asked the man, wait a minute. If you say that you are being chased by a lorry and your car went down the ravine together with the rest of your family, you are the one driving the car, you would have been dead as well, right? Then the caller, in a very sad voice, said, yeah, I guess so. I'm dead as well. And then he put down the phone. That show was heard by thousands of people that night. So there were many ear witnesses that heard about the call. At first, the DJ thought that it's probably a prank. But then the next day, a case came out in the newspaper where a family of 5 was killed when their car went into a ravine in the Karak Highway. It was a man, a woman, their son, and his parents, 5 of them. The DJ was shocked and he went to look for the audio recording, but all he found was static. However, there were many ear witnesses who heard about that show. And some of my Malay friends also shared because they also heard, they happened to tune in as well. And this case was reported widely in all the major papers of the major languages. But because that time it was the pre-internet era, even now I'm not able to find the case already. But I do remember this really have happened. Another possibility is that a kind of circumstantial timing. Some accidents happen as if the circumstances timing it is very precise. For example, a person could be driving at the highway and suddenly a car slowed down, and then the car behind him tried to brake to avoid colliding with the car. There was a huge lorry following behind this car that tried to brake but not able to do it on time. And then the car behind the lorry saw that the lorry suddenly braked and he turned into the opposite lane to try to avoid colliding with the lorry, and he hit an oncoming car with a family traveling. Of course, these are called accidents. We don't know why these things happen the way they are, but it seems to be in a kind of perfect timing for this particular tragedy to happen. I always remember this case. Again, this was reported before the pre-internet era, and hence I'm not able to find the original news article online. But I could never forget about this case, because the girl was about the same age as me. What happened was that the family was sending this girl to go to study in the US. They traveled down from Ipoh to the airport, and having a happy but tearful send-off for their daughter, the family proceeded to drive back to Ipoh at night. Halfway through driving, and then in the middle of the highway while driving, the tire suddenly punctured. So the father pulled to the side of the road to inspect what was wrong with the tire. And some of the family members got out from the car to see what was happening. It was at the emergency road, and while they were inspecting the situation, an express bus came and was going through the emergency lane and hit the whole family head-on, killing every one of them on the spot. The case came out in the news faster than when the girl knew about it, because she was in the plane on the way to US when the accident happened. None of her immediate family survived the accident. It was very sad. And I remembered that she landed in US and then she came back to Malaysia, and she had to manage the funeral of all her family members. From what I read in the follow-up report, she had decided not to pursue her tertiary education, and she actually stayed back to manage her father's business. I can't imagine how hard it will be for her. Sometimes accidents happen because they are just like what we call as accident, a chance happening, or sometimes it can be also due to some supernatural causes. Next, I would like to share on the possible ways that we can do to best protect ourselves. First, don't drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Whenever you are intoxicated under the influence of alcohol or drugs, you lose a large part of your awareness. It's as if your body, your home, become a vacant place, and your awareness or consciousness is somewhere else. This makes it very easy for any possession or illusion of vision to happen. So if let's say you have been drinking, please don't drive, because you do not want to potentially cause a loss of life of anyone, be it person traveling with you in a car or to an innocent victim or bystander who is on the road. There are many families who lost their loved ones because they were being hit by a drunk driver. So please don't contribute to the part of that statistic. The second way is to please do not drive when you're tired. Sometimes it is very strange. I don't know whether you have encountered before. You are halfway driving, and then when you pass a certain place, you don't know why. You feel that you can't keep your eyes open. You may not be tired when you started driving, but for some reason, you just can't keep your eyes open. When that happens, please go to the nearest stop and take a rest. No, don't try to rest by the emergency lane, because nowadays, even the emergency lane, there are trucks and cars that go by it. Sometimes they may not see your car being parked there, or they thought that your car is actually moving, and they may ram straight into your car. So go to the nearest stop and take a rest. There's no point rushing. If you feel that tiredness overwhelming you, please focus on your breathing and try to be aware, and to have your awareness inwards means no thinking, no over listening to music. Just trying to focus that awareness inwards and breathing, and then recite some prayers based on your faith. Hopefully the situation will clear out until you can find the nearest place to rest. The third is to avoid being distracted. People can be distracted when driving through various reasons. Sometimes through looking through their phone. Maybe they think that they can just quickly check a WhatsApp message or to check an Instagram story while waiting at a traffic light, or they are driving at an apparently quiet road. You never know what will dash out suddenly. And sometimes distraction can happen when there's somebody with you and both of you are busy quarreling. Sometimes husband and wife quarrel when they are driving. And actually that is very dangerous. Because if you are quarreling, your awareness is not there. And because of the distraction, you may not be able to see that car on the vehicle on time. It is very dangerous. There are times when I'm driving and then I happen to be in a disagreement with somebody in a car. I didn't feel comfortable about it. And then I would not engage in the quarrel or disagreement. I would just continue to drive. The final one is to engage in some kind of spiritual practice for your own spiritual protection. Even if every day you spend just 5 or 10 minutes in the beginning of the day or at the end of the day before you sleep to do a short meditation, chanting or prayer, you may not think much about these small packets of time that you're using, but at times of need, you are able to recall the energy from your accumulated practice to help you. If let's say you are a person that are not used to doing any spiritual practice, when you find yourself in a situation that is dangerous, and then you try to pray, it may not work because your energy and the faith are strong enough. Think about this. Every day, we spend many hours on social media, on the smartphone. All I'm urging you is to just take 5 or 10 minutes from that time away from your phone or from your Netflix, and to just do a short chanting if you are a Buddhist, meditation to calm your mind. This goes for any faith or prayer. Just devote a fixed time every day. Do it. Not only you will feel that there's a calm and peace from doing it, but when you need help, you're able to summon the energy from what you have done to help you. I always believe that every one of us will have danger period. Sometimes we may live through it, sometimes we may not. If that particular time is not an absolute time of death, meaning that our time on earth is not really up, but it's just that we are going through a dangerous time where we may pass or we may not pass it, the spiritual practice is what that made a difference. I say this because I see it happening to people who are very close to me, who could miraculously survive very dangerous time in their life because they have actually invested some time just to do daily prayers and devote practice. So please don't underestimate this. If you do practice and if by nature your conscience is clear, you will have protection and guidance. And hopefully you would not find yourself in that situation where you either become a victim or you become the one that causes permanent injury or loss of life of another individual. There are people who get involved in accident whereby their whole car is totaled, but this person may escape with just a few scratches. And there are other cases whereby a person have lost a lot of blood, would have thought to have died, and would have thought not to survive, but survive against the odds. Therefore, there's nothing to lose by just investing a bit of time in our practice. I find that these accidents are very unpredictable events that can happen in our life. We or our loved one may leave the home alive and well, and the next thing may be gone. So let's do what we can to take whatever precaution that is within our power to prevent this from happening. Thank you.